Street Consciousness presents my brothers. Brother Sekou and Brother Lord Abba square off in a powerful discussion, family. Check it out.
What do you think about that?
Well,
as far as them people not even having a writing system, the Canaan, they didn't even have a writing system at this time.
I mean, that,
The Canaanites had a writing system.
Which one you said?
I said the Kush.
All right,
Okay,
cool. You said the Kushites didn't have a writing system.
now,
Okay.
when I'm going to start with Moor, because when the Greeks came to North Africa, they encountered a tribe called the Mori, and they named that portion of Africa Mauritania. The dates vary. I've seen one source, and I can't cite it right now, so excuse me, that said 44 BC. But one definite source said 300 BC. So you're talking about all the way back in BC times, we have this name Moor. So to come to the point about the Kushites not having a writing system, when you go and you do research, as I have, into the ancient people called the Kushites, or whom Noble Drew Ali and we Moorish Americans call Old Man Kush, you'll see that the Kushites literally comprise of the ancient Canaanites, or whom some call the Phoenicians, the Nubians, and the Chaldeans, or the Babylonians. And they were the inventors of writing. Egypt,
Who?
the Kushites.
They were the
inventors of writing. That is why
Do
you
know
find.
what you're saying?
That is why you find.
No, hold on, Abba. Do you really understand what you're saying?
I mean, anybody that's watching this, the only thing they have to do is just go do their research, and they'll see that the Kushites invented writing. Diodorus Siculus, in interviewing.
So you're saying that this is what the Moorish Science Temple teach?
Diodorus Siculus, in interviewing the ancient Kushites, or whom they called the Ethiopians, came back with this to say, that the Egyptians were a colony drawn out of them by Osiris. Again, that's Diodorus Siculus. When you look at the early scholars like Drusilla Dungy Houston, and she's speaking about, who wrote the book Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire, she's speaking about these ancient Kushites and how they developed trade across 3 worlds. And Egypt never developed a writing system. They only expressed their religious views and beliefs through signs and symbols. It was later that other races would come in, and then the Demotic script was formed. But still prior, you have contemporary sources existing with Egypt, as I showed at the lecture, that showed artifacts and things of that nature. You have writing from Babylon, which dates back 6,000 years, or probably around the same time that the Egyptian Empire rose. So to say that the Kushites didn't have a writing system, according to my research, I don't know, the brother may have different research, but according to my research, that's not accurate.
All right.
Well, let me just put it to you this way. Just like you can see the meta-nature, show me the Kushite street. You ain't gonna be able to do that.
Right.
Because it doesn't. Let me just it doesn't exist. All right. Second is that you're talking about Diodorus Siculus. You're talking about a Roman and Greeks and stuff like that. You're talking 30 BC to 3 BC. That doesn't mean a thing. We're talking something that go way back before that. Let me just show you something. There's a book called The Southern Thing of the Gods in Southern Africa, the Temple of the Southern Gods in Southern Africa. It goes back to either 15 to 16, excuse me, to 160,000 years ago. On the plateaus in Southern Africa, they have three stones representing Orion's belt. It goes back that far, and they made a megalith inside of a circle. Then you come up to Nataplaya, which is in which is in Nubia at that time, right? You see the same thing. This circle with 3 stars representing Orion, what they call Orion belt.
Right.
Back in what's the name they called it, Sahu. You see that come up on the Giza Plateau, the same thing. I wish I had my books I can actually show you. See, what I'm telling you is that I can show and prove. I'm not giving you a lip service. I'm not trying to tell you something that's not there. You can go see it there. Kushite writing, you cannot go see it there in Ethiopia and Tanzania. You ain't gonna see it there. What you can see is a writing called the Medu Neter. The Medu Neter cannot be understood through, see, first of all, we got language systems messed up. Language systems are classified. You can argue with the names of the language systems if you want to, and say it should be named this. Fine, I'm not going to make that argument. But I'm talking about it's a genetic link in these genetic systems and what they're called Semitic language. Now you can argue with that, but we're talking about a group of languages that are genetically linked to each other. Just like we use Indo-Aryan languages, it's genetically linked to each other, or what they call the Germanic languages and so on and so. And then you can move down to African language, Bantu languages. Now, I tell you, we can argue with these labels if you want to, but that's cool. But that doesn't negates the fact that they have what? A genetic link to each other. And that's why you can group them as a language system. Now, you can take those languages from, and I'm saying from China to Europe and Semitic in between. Those language systems are hierarchical in structure. They are patriarchal. Not only are they patriarchal, they are warrior languages. So we're dealing with warrior language. If you go to Bushido with the Japanese and the Chinese, which is the sword, you go to the knights, you go to the Greeks and Romans, the warrior class. You can take that to the Germans with Thor and the guys. Okay, what I'm saying is that we're talking about culture. We're talking about different ways of thinking. You cannot understand Egypt and talk about Egypt when you're using those language systems. There's no impact on the Egyptian language from Sumeria, as well it is Kemetic languages going out there. Why? Because Egypt was a superpower. Up until, this is important. Let me go back to Nat the Plier for a second. At Nat the Plier, they had the 26,000 year cycle. It's actually not 26, it's 25,960, but I'm just rounding it off because it's for, cycle in that thing. It's actually there. It's done by astrophysicists. You can go see it yourself. You don't have to take my word. I'm telling you where it's at. It's Nat the Plier. It is in southern Egypt today, okay? Or what they call Upper Egypt. Now, at that place, at what's the name, you got that 26,000 year cycle. Now, in order for you to do that, you got to see at least one more to confirm that the first one that you've seen was right. So now we're talking about what? Over 50,000 year cycle. But to be absolutely sure, unadulterated, it's got to be at least 75,000 years that we're talking about of African consciousness. Ain't nobody can set up there and prove that and deal with that kind of consciousness. And it goes back to 160, what I told you about that other book before. And I can show you these books to go along with what we're talking about. Yeah, I can show you the book. I can show you the diagram. They are still there. You can go and see them today. Now, the reason why I said that, them so-called Sumerians, or them so-called Akkadians, them so-called Canaanites, you know that they didn't have a solar map until 600 BC? Did you know that?
Did you know that?
They did not have a 365-year cycle, and the first time that they came up with a 365-year cycle, it came up with it 363, and then they finally moved to 365. Do you know we the only people that had 365 and a quarter and some change? And we did it every 4 years. As I start lining up with Sirius, and the sun line up with Sirius every 4 days. And see, the reason we know that is because if you look at the Egyptian calendar, you will see that the rising and the of the sun and Sirius at the same time would go to every 4 years would be 461 days, right? So if you're using just a 365-day calendar, you know that you're off.
Let me make this statement to you, Lord Abba. Check this out, and then I'm gonna let you go on.
Yeah.
Y'all say, when I say y'all, I'm saying the Moors proclaim, even my brother Alim in there said it a few times, that you can find the word Moor in the Medu Neter in ancient Kemet. How come Dr. Ben missed that? How come, hold up, Aswa Kwesi missed that? How could Sarah Sultan Seti miss that? All of these Grandmaster teachers missed that. But the Moors are the only one to find more there. Where can you find the word more in ancient Kemet?
Well,
In the Meta Netra.
In the Medunat.
when you,
Point to it.
one of the things that a lot of people do is they take those claims, right, and they try to debunk what it is that we're bringing. If you're saying that the name of the land, right, is Tamari, right, and we know that the Mari is pronounced M-R, then it is saying that that is the land of Mari. Am I right with that assertion?
No, because it has a Y on the next side. So it has a R.
But
and a
Ta
Y.
means
Yeah.
the land of. Am
Ta
I
means
correct?
land. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
okay, cool. So now, M-R or Mor or Mari means to love. This is the same name that we gave the pyramid, Mor or M-R, Mari. I do not make the claim that that is the root of the word Mor, but I do make the correlation based on all of our ancient kingdom names. So I can successfully make the argument that Mor can have a possible link to the word Meri. Because when you look at what Noble Drew Ali brought to us, it was a doctrine based on love. When you read the Moorish Quran and you open it, the prophet said, with these lessons, mothers, you can teach your children to learn to love instead of hate. With these lessons, father, you can set your house in order and teach your children to learn to love instead of hate. Love is the savior of the world. Moors, be yourself. How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? By teaching them to be themselves. Follow that first principle, love. So I can, as a Moorish American, make the correlation between Moor and M-R or Meri. So, you know, that's my response to that.
Another thing, and that's now why I got the brother here, you said we are the descendants of Canaan. Are you talking about Canaan and the Cain in the Bible? Canaan?
I just explained that to you earlier. And
Right, but that's what I want you to do while
all
you're
right,
here.
I've been explaining that, and when you can look on the walls, I believe on the wall of Ramesses, and you'll see the word Canaan. You can look into the Armana letters, which was the diplomatic correspondence between nations, and you'll see the word Canaan. So if this name existed then, how do we say today that Canaan is a biblical term? Because it's copied into the Bible. So that means every name that's in the Bible is a biblical name because it's in the Bible. This is, when you hear people say you've been conquered by religion, these are the people that have been conquered by religion. Peace, peace.
Peace, y'all.
Yeah.
All right, what do you say about that?
Well, you know, like I said, you know, for that kind of
Yeah, I
conversation,
buy icy with that.
you have to be very, very technical about stuff
Now,
like
about
that.
the Canaan story.
No, you have to be able to show in the Meta Netra where it actually says Canaan, and you're not going to find that. You're not going to find Canaan in the Meta Netra at all. And so, therefore, that's why people never show you that.
Right,
They never show
right.
you. They'll tell you that, but
see,
they
that's
don't
why I
show
keep
you
my
that.
information.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
That's why I keep my information.
And okay, all right, cool. And but the thing is that Africans do not start in Canaan. Africans come out
Canaan is in Africa.
further down than that. Where we came from southern Africa, and we came down the Nile River. We came down from Ethiopia. We came from Punt. We even came from the Congo and other places like that. And we also came from Uganda, which is the white Nile. The blue Nile is Ethiopia. And the reason why I say that is this, is because you can got a complex and you get this at the Star of Deep Beginnings by, I can't think of his name, but in the book his name is Star of Deep Beginnings. Finch.
Charles Finch?
Charles Finch.
Okay.
All right, you'll see that in that thing for Finch, that you will be able to see that from the Katanga province, you got a group of people that comes up there, comes out of there, comes across the Congo, goes up into Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopian comes out and they go out into what today people call modern day Israel. Back then, most people call it quote unquote Canaan, but that's not the name. And the Phoenicians are the same people